Hi everybody, Brent Jones, New Home Source Realty. How are you? I want to do a quick Facebook Live about home improvement. Should you make home improvements in this market, and if so, which ones, and which ones carry the most value, and that kind of thing. Before we get started, click notifications, follow me, like this video, and leave a comment. So, home improvement. Let's talk about home improvement. Not the TV show. Let's talk about real home improvement, like if you were going to do improvements to your house before you put your house on the market. So question number one, in this ridiculous seller's market that we're in, should you even make any home improvements? Is that even necessary? I would say there's not one total rule of thumb. I would say yes in some, even though we're in a ridiculous seller's market, I would say yes, in some circumstances, you should make home improvements. And we're going to talk about the different kinds of home improvements and what kind of return you think you could get from that. So let's start with important things like mechanical and structural. If you know your house has mechanical or structural deficiencies, you ought to go ahead and address those. Now, what would that be? Well, we're talking about HVAC, windows, electrical, plumbing, roof, and foundation. When you put your house on the market, assuming that the buyer is going to have an option period, which they may or may not in this crazy market, there are some offers that are coming in, they're not even asking for an option period. The option period would give them time to have the house inspected. Most of the time, regardless of how great the offer is, most of the time the buyer is going to request 3, 5, 7 days to get the house inspected. And then they have the right to come back and request repairs. You as a seller don't have to do anything, but they do have that option. The state of Texas wants them to have an opportunity to do all of their due diligence. Now, in this insane real estate market, the seller's market that we're in, there are some buyers that are just turning in offers and they're not even asking for an option period. So you just go from active to pending, bam. Now, that is a possibility. But in most cases, the buyer will request at least a very quick option period, and that will give them time to have the house inspected. So mechanical, structural kind of things are going to come up in that inspection report. In Texas, the most common things are HVAC. Why? Because it's 19 degrees and then it's 110 degrees. That's why. So your HVAC system, gets stressed. Your AC compressors outside get stressed. So basic service calls on your HVAC is a very common thing. Windows. In Texas, we have thunderstorms and high winds that come rolling through, and hailstorms. We'll talk about hailstorms in a minute. But thunder that will make your whole house vibrate, and that causes your windows to shake, and that causes your windows to lose their seal, and the gas in between the double pane windows can escape, and then your windows start fogging up. So windows is something that's going to come up a lot. Electrical, if your house is fairly new, shouldn't be an issue. If your house is decades old, could be an issue, especially if your house has been owned by multiple different owners, and some of those owners kind of rigged the electrical or had a buddy come wire something up that was not to code. That kind of stuff could be an issue. Plumbing, again, if your house is fairly new, shouldn't be an issue, but you'd be surprised. A lot of buyers have minor little leaks, and they either ignore them or they're really not even aware of them. Roof. In Texas, we have hailstorms that come through in the springtime, right? And there are areas that get hit with hailstorms, and so the roof could have hail damage. And then foundation. There's a saying in Texas that every house in Texas either has foundation issues and termite issues, or they're going to. Now, I think that's an exaggeration, but a lot of houses in North Texas, different areas are more prone to foundation issues than others. If you're going to address some of these mechanical structural issues, you might want to go ahead and have those done before you put the house on the market. Then you can note that on the seller's disclosure, and if there's going to be an inspection, which there probably will be, that issue won't even come up. So HVAC, it's not expensive to have an HVAC guy come out and just do a basic service call. Windows can get a little pricey. I wouldn't replace all the windows in the house, but if you know some of them have lost their seal and have fogged up, you might want to consider that. Electrical, again, if you're aware of some electrical issues, that's a safety hazard. And that might be something. An electrician, obviously you want a licensed electrician to come out. By the way, all of these repairs need to be done by licensed contractors. Now, there's no such thing as a roofing licensed. Roofers in Texas are not licensed, but you still want to use reputable, professional companies to do all these repairs. Your buddy that works with you at the warehouse, that doesn't count. And he's going to come over Saturday and you're going to pay him in beer. We ain't doing that. That's not the way it works. You have to have a professional company make these improvements for you. Roof. There's a lot of roofing companies out there. Go with one that's been in the Metroplex or North Texas for decades and decades and decades, and they have a good reputation and they have a high rating with the Better Business Bureau. When we have hailstorms come blowing through, every guy that's got a pickup truck and a ladder in a garage suddenly becomes a roofer, and here they come out of the woodwork and they're going to go to the area where they know the hailstorm was and they want people to let them repair their roof. A lot of roofers are very good and very reputable. A lot of roofing companies are fly-by-nights, and you just need to be careful. Always go with a reputable company that's been in the Metroplex for decades and decades and has a high good rating with the Better Business Bureau. Foundation. If you know your house has foundations, you really ought to address that. How would you know? You know. The floor, you can feel it, the floors, there's cracks coming off the corners, the doors don't fit right. You know. Use a company that's going, number one, and just like with the roofing companies, use a reputable company, but also use a company that's going to give a lifetime transferable warranty. A lifetime transferable warranty. So, your house has had foundation issues, you've had it repaired. That shouldn't be an issue for the new buyer because it's going to come with a lifetime transferable warranty. So they can be comfortable knowing the work was done right, and if it needs to be tweaked in years to come, that company is going to come out and take care of it. So that's a lot of the mechanical home improvements. Cosmetic. Let's talk about cosmetic real quick. And again, in this seller's market, you ought to think about whether you really do or don't need to make cosmetic improvements. Now, and I've said it in previous videos, if your carpet is just horrible, yeah, you've had kids, you've had pets that have come and worn and stained it, you've had a cat that scratched the bald spot, the pets have soiled it. You might want to consider doing that because typically people don't have very good imaginations, and if they see horrible, nasty carpet, it's going to make a really bad impression on them. Same thing with paint. If your house is purple and orange and Dallas Cowboy blue, you might want to consider having the house painted. So this would be up to you and your discretion, and have your realtor properly advise you. If all those things are marginal, just leave it alone, because again, in this seller's market, people are quote unquote so desperate for houses, they're not going to pass on your house just because they don't like the Pepto-Bismol pink color of the little girl's room. They know that they can fix that themselves. So home improvement as far as cosmetic would be only if it's just a huge deficiency, like say for instance the carpet is just a complete eyesore and a huge turnoff. That's when you could consider it. Or I just put a house on the market in Burleson. The carpet's nasty. The walls need to be painted. I put a big sign up for everybody who came to see it. Don't worry. Don't be scared. The seller is going to give you a $5,000 flooring paint allowance. We don't want to do it ourselves because we're not going to pick the flooring type or the paint color that you want. We'll just throw $5,000 at you and you can go pick out whatever you want after closing. So that's an option as well. One more thing about home improvements. A lot of people are talking about solar panels these days, and my opinion on that would be this. I don't think we're quite where we need to be with solar panels yet. I think in years to come and in decades to come, I think it's going to make sense. Hey, there's nothing wrong with trying to be as energy efficient as possible. My opinion, solar panels, the way that they are today with today's technology, they're just too big. They're too intrusive. It looks like your roof has a tumor, and they drill 300 holes in your roof. And oh, they're free? No, they're not free. What the pitch that you're going to get is no out-of-pocket money. Just because you didn't come out of pocket any money, that doesn't mean that they're free. They're going to put a lien against your house, $25,000 to $30,000 lien against your house, which you're going to have to cross that bridge when you get ready to sell your house. What's going to happen to that $25,000 or $30,000 lien they put on your house? Here's your options. You get to pay it out of the proceeds of your house, or you're going to pass that debt on to the new buyer. Guess what? The new buyer is not going to be excited about paying $30,000 of your debt. It could absolutely kill a sale, and or it could cause the buyer not to even be able to qualify anymore, because now they have to qualify for the cost of your house plus the additional $30,000 debt that you're trying to pass on to them. And there's a big discussion about really how much do these solar panels help you save every month, and can you sell your electricity back to the grid? That's being poo-pooed as well. So anyway, I'm not a Green New Deal kind of guy, but nothing wrong with making your house more efficient. I just don't think solar panels are quite where they need to be yet. I think they will be in time to come. So if you're thinking about putting solar panels on your house, you might want to think about that real long and hard. So anyway, home improvement kind of things, mechanical, cosmetic, and solar panels. Hope this helps. Anything I can do to be of help, Brent Jones, New Home Source Realty. I've been doing this in Dallas-Fort Worth for 32 years. I've got a 98% approval rating on Google. I'm more than happy to help. Call me. Any questions you have, anything I can do to be of help, more than happy to help. Brent Jones, New Home Source Realty, 214-649-4528. Have a great day. Bye-bye.